Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Poke Crows, and today we have some really cool news. This is an in-game mechanic that has finally been revealed, and it's going to be about raising our Pokemon to the maximum. And it actually has something that I am absolutely 100% in love with, and it is for anyone who has ever caught a shiny Pokemon with just the absolute worst nature possible. Let's go ahead and watch, and you are going to think this is amazing if you've ever played competitively, because it just makes, well, it makes going into it so much simpler than it's ever been before. Poltegeist, Galarian Ponyta, Cramorant, Sudowoodo. I love the music here. Mints will change the effects of a Pokemon's nature. So, this, you're going to see it in just a second. We were kind of told about this in the interview that they had with, I believe, Ken Sugimori, where he mentioned that this would kind of be coming in, that you will have something that will allow you to change the effects of a nature. It wasn't very clear, and he just said you'd recognize it as soon as you saw it. Now, this does not change a modest-natured Pokemon into a brave-natured Pokemon. What it does is it will change the effects of that nature. So if you have a brave-natured Pokemon and it's plus attack, negative speed, and you gave it something called a modest mint, its effects will change to have a plus special attack, minus attack. This is really, really awesome. I am someone who legit spends probably like 2 hours soft resetting, not to get like a shiny start, just so I can get a good nature on my starter. So basically, when I start my game, I can literally just run straight through with whatever nature I get. I can change it later, so I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage in any sort of way. I know the in-game doesn't really matter, but I hate having to rebreed my starter Pokemon later. This is great. It's great for that. It's great if, you catch a shiny in the wild and it just has a terrible nature for it. It doesn't matter anymore. And one thing I love is you can see that they had like a couple of mints for a couple of those, but they had a good list. So I'm hoping that these are something that are readily available. So when you want to step into competitive play, it becomes that much simpler to do, because having the right nature in competitive is very important. Now, this is cool. $26. Completely maxed out the special attack stat. That is great. I am, again, I know I don't need to do it, but on my in-game teams, I will legit EV train every single one before I start using them, just so they don't get bad EVs, because I hate rebreeding my Pokemon later. I love this. I can basically take my in-game team directly into competitive play. We've had the bottle caps from Sun and Moon. I believe those are carrying over too. Why wouldn't they? But this just means that you can go through and take a Pokemon that you randomly caught in the wild and max it out to its absolute best without having to, spend hours and days breeding. Now, I will say this. Obviously, for people that do enjoy Pokemon breeding, this does sort of make all of that irrelevant. Not entirely. You're still going to have to breed for the right moves and everything, but the idea that you're going to have to breed for the best IVs and breed for the best nature, you don't have to do that anymore. Pokemon of the same species can pass egg moves to each other. So, if I'm not mistaken, because this one, when I saw it, did confuse me a bit, it sounds like as opposed to just leaving 2 Pokemon at the Pokemon... Oh, first off, did you guys see how beautiful this Pokemon Center looks? Sorry, not Pokemon Center. The Pokemon breeder. This is the daycare center here is just so much nicer. I really do love the look of all the buildings in Galar so far. But yes, as opposed to leaving two Pokemon and then having an egg hatch in which it can learn the moves of either of the parents, if you put a Pokemon that's basically, if you put Savalian and that Savalian only knows Moonblast, right? And you put it with another Savalian, and that Savalian has like 3 egg moves, is what it said, right? And pass egg moves to each other. That Savalian that did not have those egg moves will gain those egg moves. And that is really cool because, again, you don't even technically have to breed the Pokemon to get the egg move. You can take the Pokemon as long as you have one that has it and it's of the same species. I mean, if you get it from a friend, this makes getting into competitive battling so much easier. This is perfect for that. Yes, we already saw this. Now, this is the thing I know a lot of people aren't super happy about. I actually looked at this. I was really hoping I'd see something new here, and I didn't. But anyways, yes, they basically copied what we have in Pokemon Go. Now, it said almost anywhere, so I imagine that means there will be areas where you cannot change your Pokemon. I would imagine that would be like the Pokemon League. I don't know how that one's going to work, but that would just kind of make sense to me. I believe in the Let's Go games, when you challenge the Elite Four, at any point, you could just swap out your Pokemon, which seems really broken. It's been a while since I've actually challenged the Elite Four in those Let's Go games, so yeah, I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. But this does make it a lot simpler if you're just out in the wild and you catch something, you want to use it. It makes it a lot simpler if you just want to swap out your team on the fly. You don't have to fly over to a Pokemon Center to do that anymore. I'm actually a fan of that. I know it makes it a little bit too convenient for some people, but I mean, you can make the game challenging for yourself if you don't want to use it. But if you want to be able to swap out on the fly, this is pretty cool. I know I'm really hyping a lot of this stuff, but you gotta understand. I'll explain it once we finish. Okay, that was wrong. You never replace your starter. That is cool. So, I don't know if this means that they are removing rare candies. I wouldn't imagine that they would. But what it means is we actually have candies that just grant bulk experience. And as you can see, that would mean that you could level up multiple times by just using one of those candies. And that's a pretty high level, 53, for it to be doing that. So, I think that this, again, it's great because it helps you get your Pokemon maxed out. Which, to me, it means that it gives you the ability to play with multiple different Pokemon. Because you're not just going to have to dedicate, how do I say this, like a week to 2 weeks to fully train and max out an entire team, right? You could take literally like a day to max out like multiple teams, depending on how quickly you can grind up those resources. I know some people might think that makes it too easy. Again, you can make this game more challenging, I guess, just by not spamming experience candies. And I don't even know when those come into play. But that's pretty much it. And I'm releasing on Friday next week. So that is it's almost here, guys. Now, I have a theory, and we're going to have one of my good friends on as part of the Poke Crows to go over a couple of our theories. But at the time we recorded it, I did not know about this, but I more than ever believe we may get a Battle Frontier, because one of the reasons why they used to exclude the Battle Frontier in the past was that, nobody used it. It's so difficult. It's so hard to get into. Well, that's not an excuse anymore because this just overly simplifies that step to get into competitive play. This is I am so hyped for this. Like, it gives you a reason. It makes it so it's more comfortable to get into competitive play. You know, I will be fully honest. Like, when I played the Gen 4, Gen 5 games, I used to EV train people's Pokemon for them. You know, in Gen 6, I would super train people's Pokemon for them because nobody liked doing it. You know? Legit, I would EV train like a dude's. I'd EV train 2 Pokemon for a dude, and he'd just give me a shiny because, you know, he was running a shop. Because people do that. You don't need any of that extra help or any of those extra resources because they give it all to you in the game. It's very self explanatory. And I really think that this is huge for that competitive scene within those games. I don't need to run to, you know, Pokemon Showdown. As much as I love Pokemon Showdown, I don't need to run to Pokemon Showdown to play competitively with the best team. I could legit get the best team I want, including Pokemon that I've been using on the in-game playthroughs, including my freaking starter Pokemon, right? I can use all of those in competitive play without being at a disadvantage anymore. And I know I'm like so hyped for this, but man, there are more spoilers to cover. We've got some Pokedex entries that have come out. We have some in-game details. We've got abilities. We have signature moves. But my goodness, when I saw this, this is just so freaking cool. And I love the fact that we are getting this in these games. If you are someone who really does appreciate the you know, breeding out at the daycare center to make the best Pokemon. I mean, technically, you can still do that. I would imagine. I highly doubt they're going to remove that. But it's like, if you're not someone who, you know, can do that or knows how to do that, even for me, when it comes to breeding out for the perfect IVs on a Pokemon, that's why I was so happy for the bottle cap system. But you know, not having to breed to have the best Pokemon, but being able to use these other systems so that a Pokemon you catch in the wild and your starter Pokemon are legit the best Pokemon they can be. Hands off to, you know, just 100% great going, Game Freak. I'm going to end the video here before I keep sucking these guys off. But please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, share it on social media if you can. You know, we're still doing the Score Bunny giveaway. That winner is going to be announced on Sunday. Again, you will be able to read the description for the rules on that. Anyways, everybody, bye-bye.